and we don't have to I don't know if you're comfortable with it or whatever, but
yeah, it's fine. I don't mind talking about it.
What was that like to be the first person in a close, tight-knit family dynamic to walk away from a religion that's like super family oriented? Welcome to another episode of Ambitious. Welcome to the show, you two lovers. Just waiting for Braden to get situated.
Get his act together.
I'm sorry that my act isn't together.
So to set the scene for all of those listening, we're in Abby and Braden's house.
This is Abby and Braden's house.
Yes.
And it's very lovely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just drinking some Trulies
Yeah.
and for those of you that can't tell the difference between mine and Braden's voice,
Now you have a video.
yeah, you have a video so you can see. Recap for us, Abby. Recap your relationships, your traumas.
Yes.
And then reflect on how wonderful Braden is as a boyfriend.
Aw.
And then you can talk about how,
unless it's the truth.
Braden, you can talk about how you hired her and all that.
Oh yeah, our whole story.
Yeah.
We want to do that, like a whole
Yeah, that'd be
Abby
cool.
Braden story.
That'll
Yeah.
be funny. So recap. It's just that my previous relationship was pretty bad. It was just emotionally abusive and all around unhealthy. Super unhealthy from the age, I think I was 18 all through till I was like 20, kind of off and on. So yeah, it was pretty rough. Learned a lot, but I'm still like dealing with the effects of all of that even now.
How so? Like what kinds of effects still exist in your life?
I'd say a lot of like PTSD, especially involving like relationships, and I came to the realization not too long ago that like alcohol is another thing that really like triggers me in a way, or just seeing other people that are drunk kind of really freaks me out a little bit.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how random things like that will trigger a emotional reaction for you.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Compare and contrast now what like a unhealthy relationship feels like versus a healthy relationship feels like, assuming that this is healthy.
I mean, don't want to speak
Of
for you.
course
But
it is.
Okay. High five. Nice.
But you guys have had like an interesting little, I don't know, it's unique the way that you guys met each other. You were like 16,
True.
Abby.
Yeah.
And Braden was your
Well,
boss.
supervisor at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see how much you remember. This is perfect.
Yeah,
You
it's
could
like
tell
a
us
quiz. Pop quiz.
Okay, quiz. So Braden,
Quiz.
you were a supervisor. You hired Abby when she was like 16 or something.
I don't know if I
No, Hannah
hired
hired
her.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the previous manager.
Man, I'm off to a bad start.
Yeah.
So
Fail.
you guys worked together, and then, you had like a crush on him.
I had a crush on him for sure.
But he was always with other people.
Yes. And I was
And
16,
so were you.
whatever.
Yeah.
He was like, how old are you?
I don't know,
22?
Yeah, I'm like 6 years older than you, right? Yeah.
16
Yeah.
and 22. He's like, ew.
Were you
Poor
able?
girl.
Were you able to date until because you grew up pretty Christian, and so did Braden and I,
You guys were Mormon,
and
though.
we weren't allowed to date till we were 16. Was that a thing for you?
I wasn't really allowed to date till I was 18.
Oh wow.
For good reasons. I'm actually really glad because I don't know. I feel like for me, I had a great childhood. And like when I was 16, like, yeah, there was like crushes and I had little like things with boys, but I wasn't really as concerned about it,
Yeah.
I was just hanging out with my friends, having a good time. And yeah, I'm glad that I didn't like start dating when I was younger.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So then, fast forward a few years, you're 21, and Braden's looking for a roommate.
So
was
I
Brayden-
was looking for a roommate, and I was like, "Hey,
Got
Brayden,
it.
just curious. Like, do you know anybody that is looking for like a place? Because I found a place. I'm trying to find someone to move in with me.
Right.
Let me know." And then
Brayden was
Brayden
single,
like,
living with
me.
living in the trailer, right? At our
No, it
parents.
was- yeah. Well, actually, at that time, I think I was in the bedroom upstairs.
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'd moved
Oh,
into
yeah.
the house from the trailer out front. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, I'll keep an eye open.
For myself,
for roommates, and you're like, or like, would you be interested? I'm like, are you serious? Yes,
serious?
definitely looking for a place. And then I think like 3 days later, I moved in or something like that.
Yep.
Yep, August
Nice.
1st.
so you were
Last
roommates,
year.
and I remember, Braden, you were like, just going to keep it friends. Like, we're just
Definitely.
roommates.
3 days in,
Roommates.
Braden is obsessed.
I know.
And
I
then
know,
he
yeah.
was like, I'm not going to hire her. And then he hired you. It's like, I'm not going to kiss her. Kissed
Then
you.
I kissed you.
Well, you
So.
liked me for a long time, and I
Yeah.
didn't really like you at first.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Sorry, Braden. Yeah,
What
have
did
you
you-
not told
what
Ammon
did
this
you not-
story?
No,
Have you-
not really.
Oh my gosh.
What'd you not like about him?
I love him, but I don't know. I just wasn't looking for I wasn't really looking for a relationship.
Yeah.
Braden's like this handsome, nice guy. Checks every
thanks.
box.
Yeah.
So I was like,
let's just keep it civil, keep it roommate.
And then he'd do
Esque.
things like come sit really close to me on the couch.
Nice.
Yeah,
Making
right
his
here
move.
actually.
Yeah, he just
that's cute.
like sat so close.
And so now you're living together, and then all of a sudden Abby's like, I need space. I'm going to move out.
Yes.
Right?
Sorry.
Why do you apologize? Don't
Sorry,
apologize.
you guys. No, okay. It wasn't really like that. I don't know. I think for me mentally, like a lot of things started coming down in my world. And during that time, I was like, I don't know. I really don't know what it was. I think it could have been like something to do with my medication and just like my job, like working 2 jobs and trying to also like mentally stay okay. During that time, I was like, okay, maybe it would be best for me to move out. Like I can pay off my school, like just stay with my parents for a little bit.
Save some money.
Save some money, yeah, because I was just like, I felt like I was just working constantly, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I moved out, stayed at my parents' house for about a week, and then I was like, Braden,
I miss you, and I'm coming back.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, but it's been kind of a whirlwind of a lot of
Yeah.
things lately for me, but we're doing it
Getting
one
after
day at a
it.
time.
Where are you at, religious-wise, Abby?
Yeah. Why did that seem? Look how you turned
I've always
over.
been curious. Like,
Where are you at?
What do you?
Yeah.
Do you like go
It's
to
a
church
long-
still? Do you
No.
believe in God?
Yeah, I mean, I believe in God. I'd say like I have a relationship with Jesus, God. But I don't go to church because I disagree with a lot of the Christianity, this whole realm of like churches and everything. Like I disagree with how they are judgmental. They, talk shit about you behind your back at church. I don't know. I've just been hurt by so many Christians and, so many things have happened and it all was like based around the church. So I kind of just decided for myself that that's not where I want to be.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Ellie George with HomeQuest Realty. If you're in the market for a home in Southern Oregon or thinking of selling your home, I've been working with Ellie George with her marketing and can testify that she is a true pro in the industry. She has an amazing passion for real estate. She's been practicing for over 16 years, sells over 120 homes a year, which is absolutely nuts compared to the average agent only selling about 8. When it comes to marketing, I've seen her go the extra mile to make sure her homes stand out and capture eyes nationwide, and to net the sellers way more money in the end. She and I work together a lot on her higher end homes, creating videos that beautifully and thoroughly showcase the spaces, and I've absolutely loved working with her. Mention the Ambitious podcast and get a no-cost, low-pressure consultation. She'll help you with your real estate portfolio, whether it's your first home, investment, move up, or you just want to be constantly aware of your equity position.
I really don't care what anybody thinks, honestly, because I'm like, I love Braden. He loves me. We know we want to get married one day. So, like, what's the point? Like, I don't really even give a crap.
You glossed over something there. You know you want to get married someday.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
something we've been
We talk
talking about
it.
recently. It's
Surprise.
yeah.
Wow.
There
I
it
thought he knew
is.
that.
Ambitious exclusive. It happened here.
Exclusive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
All of a sudden, Braden just proposes right on the podcast.
Wow, that would get you some attention on the
That'd be
audience.
funny.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Anyways,
so I want to go back to that, but yeah, please continue with.
Where was I?
You were talking about how you don't care what people think.
Oh yeah, Brayden, help me out here. I feel like I'm rambling on random subjects.
Oh man,
sometimes.
what were we talking about before?
Well, religion.
Are we talking
so-
about when she moved out?
Yeah,
and
I was
if
asking
religion
her
had a factor in
religion.
that whole thing.
I think it was just for me, like internally, I was dealing with a lot, and we had like gone through a couple weird things, kind of together in our relationship that kind of made me sort of push away because I was like, I don't know. But
Things that
we
triggered
worked
your
through,
trauma?
yeah, kind of, yes. And so, but we worked through that, and it was really just like I needed to take time to be able to just kind of be alone and think about everything. And then once I was able to think about that, I realized how amazing Brayden is for me, and like how he's helped me grow through, so many things
Yeah.
just by my side, even when I'm having a, I don't even know,
Having a time.
having an interesting time. He's just
Yeah.
supportive and
What's the interesting
loving.
time that you're that you're referring to?
I'll allow Brayden to, if he wants to explain.
Yeah, I mean it's we could go into details. I don't know. I
Yeah,
kind of think
don't
I'd
need
rather
to.
not.
Don't need to.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just like things with our relationship that both like kind of, and we've both been through, Abby more so than me, I think, but the relationship kind of craziness that is life, like we've both kind of been through the ringer on it. And so when we have, arguments and tussles, we both kind of have baggage that comes with it. So it was just kind of clashing, and we, worked it out, but things were still kind of, like after arguments, things are kind of a little funky. And then, yeah, the best way to do that the best way to go through that was for Abby to leave and just kind of go through her process. And I went through mine, and
I think that you were definitely really heartbroken.
totally. Yes.
And
Really?
I just kind of,
Wow, I didn't even know any
and
of
I
that.
was kind of
Yeah.
just needed the time to process some things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but it definitely wasn't a mutual decision.
To move out.
Yeah, it wasn't mutual. You didn't want me to leave.
Oh, definitely. I was like, I think we can get through these. I'm okay with doing
Yeah.
it here, but I tried to be supportive. Was I not very supportive?
No,
In
you
my
were
mind,
definitely
it's like I
supportive.
would rather you stay here, but if you need to go,
No,
I'm totally
you were
okay
so
with that.
supportive and
Okay.
so understanding and so loving. I could not imagine being in your shoes, honestly. But
Yeah, but
that
I mean, it was
what I
like you
needed,
lived
and then
like
I
5
came
minutes
back
away. It
and
wasn't
I'm
bad.
feeling so good. And yeah,
Mhm.
So the space was good.
it was
Yeah,
really good.
It was really nice.
It was like
Yeah.
just enough to be like, wow, I really appreciate what we have together.
Maybe next time, because I'm sure this will happen again. You get in fights, you get your heart broken, get your feelings hurt. You can just like take a weekend girl trip or something rather than move half your shit
Well,
out.
yeah, that is not going to happen again.
I'm just
I
kidding.
don't know.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, you're 22. Like you're still kind of figuring out yourself as a person, and your previous relationship was pretty abusive, and so you're not. I mean, you're still learning the tools, the skills to
Yeah.
handle
Mhm.
hard situations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep,
I mean,
true.
it makes sense.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting. Like, after being in a super toxic relationship, being in a super healthy one, it's almost like, whoa, it's kind of shocking at first. And I think that's kind of what happened to me a little bit too, is because I was like, wow, this is like, is this way too good? Like, is he way too good for me? Like, I don't deserve this. But yeah, just,
I feel that, dude. I totally relate to that. That's how I felt when I met Taylor. I was like, I don't
Yeah, there's
deserve
no way.
this.
Brandon's just an angel.
Oh, thank you, Abigail. Appreciate it.
How'd you work through that, Abby?
Like, through what?
Work through that feeling of like thinking to yourself in your mind, Braden's too good for me. I don't deserve this. But then
guess for
realizing
me,
that
like,
that's not true.
Being in a horrible relationship for so many years, I started to believe, like, so first of all, he would never trust me. He would always accuse me of cheating on him, and I don't know,
Yeah.
everything. It would always be my fault or something I did or because I'm shitty or, and so
You started to believe it.
I started to believe that. And so, like, when I first started talking to Brayden, like, it was fine. It was good. I think I had a really hard time opening up to him for a while. Would you say that? Yeah? Kind of hard, like, just being open.
Kind
like,
of. I feel like it just
opening
came in
my
layers. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something that drew me to you a lot in the beginning, was just how much you had been through and how well you had handled those things. Like, you're very self-aware with all of those. I mean, you just make it easy to grow from those things. Instead of being down on yourself, you really used it as a stepping stone instead of a brick wall,
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you
Nice.
opened up to me. But then as we started dating and getting closer and closer, it's kind of, I mean, I feel like I'm still peeling back these layers sometimes, which is good. I think you should be, protective of your heart. That's something that's important.
I feel like now at this point there's.
I know, yeah, maybe
Got-
we're just
you-
like,
you-
just dissected the whole thing by now.
I think so.
Ripped it open.
What I really liked about you in the beginning, Abby, was that Braden seemed to be able to just be himself, you know?
Yeah.
Because Braden is like really empathetic and kind
Yes,
of like
I
a
love that.
chameleon. He just sort of blends into any situation,
Yeah.
which allows him to be really
Influenced.
Yeah.
I
wow.
guess
Like
so.
others'
I mean, there's
behavior, yeah.
positives to it too. I was actually thinking about this yesterday. It allows you to really see things from another person's point of view and empathize with them, which is why I use the word empathetic and empathic. You're able to really feel other people's emotions and then really sympathize and empathize with them on a level that's like deeper than most people. But on the opposite side,
It can get.
it can get yeah,
thrown
you can
through
be
the ringer.
easily
Feel like you
influenced
get lost
and
easily. Yeah.
get lost and sort of I don't know, you'll bend to your partner's needs and desires and things.
Which.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Okay, this was one of the things that was hard for me at first because you are so sweet and so caring and so amazing. That was like one of the reasons why it was.
I feel like you're
hard for
softening
me.
the blow right now.
No. No,
It's about to come.
It's an amazing thing about Brayden. For me, though, like, I needed for myself, in which I've seen this growth in Brayden also, which has been so cool. I just needed, like, a leader and, like, not necessarily a leader, but just, what am I
I
trying
think
to
the
say?
way you put it was more backbone.
Somebody
Hey.
somebody
Stop.
that has,
Okay. Do you want to explain the whole story now?
dude, it's okay to be honest. Like if you said I need you to have more backbone or I need you to be more confident.
Exactly.
Like whatever the words
I don't know.
you used.
Yeah.
Yeah, blunt honesty it's been great because these are things that I've noticed in myself too. More backbone. Things I've noticed in myself is like, yeah, what you're saying about being a chameleon and just either different friend groups or different relationships I've been in, I can just see my whole life just completely change. And
Yeah.
then I, think that's my honest truth and then just live that. And then once I'm out of the friend group or out of the relationship, then it just seems like a reset. And I'm like, gosh, well, who am I? Like, what am I supposed to do? But that's something that I really loved about moving in here with Abby and then being really good friends and then started dating because it was, I moved in here and I was super happy. Like I was, living with mom and dad and that's never the best. So I was just super stoked to be out of the house.
I know that feeling.
And just getting my own, I mean, they're great. And living over there, they were super awesome. And
Yeah, sure.
there was
but
never
you
any like
want your own freedom and
tension or anything.
independence.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, it's time to move out.
Yeah.
And so I did, and I was just on cloud nine, loved it, and got to get more into my routine and just be a little more Braden. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
And just kind of became myself. And then I'm like, oh, I'm living with this girl, and we're having all these amazing chats. Maybe I'll start sitting close to her on the couch and laying the Braden moves on, and then
Braden
seeing where
moves.
it goes.
The Brayden moves.
Yep,
They're
sitting
pretty
close to her
funny.
on the couch, playing with her hair during a movie, and all those things.
Nice moves.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty good at it.
Did you know that you did that? Like the chameleon thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
How
But
did
were
you
you
how did
aware
you
of
become
it?
aware?
I don't know. I just saw it in myself. Like I saw it change. saw myself change, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And something that's really helpful for me too is Canyon. He's always, you've mentioned this before on the podcast, but he's not one to be like, oh yeah, for sure, like
He's always like calling you
your
out on
friends
your
are
shit.
awesome, and then go like complain behind your back. Be like, what do you think about this person? He's like, dude, I hate them. What are you even doing? They're completely changing you. You need to stop that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, awesome. And then, yeah, I mean, I notice it, but then also I just let it happen sometimes. I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm changing, but I like to change. And I understand it's because of this person, but like it's coming from me, like from my heart, and I'm aware that it's happening. I think it's just a personality trait that I have, but I just, needed to find that balance of being myself and also being, I don't know, the words are kind of escaping me, but just being able to, I guess sympathize with other people, just find that line instead of changing.
I
Yeah.
think that's how we're
Makes sense.
very different because me,
Mhm.
like, I'm very, like, I am who I am and
Exactly.
nobody can ever change that about me. Like I'm very like just leader, and I know, yeah, I'm just not
Know what you're
conformed
going
by
for and know
anybody.
what you want. Yeah.
I've always been that way since I was little. So I guess that's good though, because opposites balance each other out. And I'm like, Brayden, what the hell? You know who you are.
I know, yeah.
Stop pretending to be someone that you're not.
Exactly. That was so helpful.
Pick
Some of those
yourself up off the
conversations.
ground.
Get some backbone. I'm like,
Come
oh my
on,
gosh,
what are you
ow,
doing?
but thank you. Appreciate it.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's great. Very helpful. I love your blunt honesty. It's so refreshing. It's so nice.
You would say that you're a leader, Abby?
I am. My personality just naturally is that way. Like if I'm in a group of people, it just like naturally happens. Like in the workplace especially, like I can't just be another person in the workplace. Like I have to be doing something or like in charge or delegating. So that's what I mean when I say that.
Gotcha. What about in like relationship dynamics? Do you feel like you're more of the dominant?
I don't know. I feel
I'm
like
curious to hear your answer.
I
This
don't
is
know.
awesome.
For me, I think when in my previous relationship, I was very controlled and I like had no say in anything. And so that was really hard. So I just like would shut down, and I don't know. In that relationship, no, not at all. I didn't have any of that like happiness or freedom. In this relationship, I feel it's very balanced, and we both, equally kind of have our things, our strengths, our weaknesses, and balance each other out in that way.
Would you say you call more of the shots?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no. Maybe like an example. You talking like where should we eat for dinner kind of a shot?
Yeah,
Or
I mean
like,
anything like that. Like, like where do you want to eat for dinner? And then if
We always want the same thing. Usually.
which might mean no. Yeah.
We're always like, yeah, that sounds good. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say
like
you're more the
Hawaiian pizza
dominant one.
and-
From my outside perspective,
From your outside perspective.
I feel like you're more of a dominant personality.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way at first, like when you guys were just living together. I felt like it was more
What makes you
more
think
balanced.
that I'm more dominant?
Brayden didn't want to do this podcast, but you convinced him to do it.
He wasn't easy to
Here we are.
convince. He just said okay.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, by the way. Like being dominant
yeah.
and assertive isn't a bad thing.
I think for me it's good because I am just a dominant person.
It also might be because of your past, your
Yeah,
experiences,
true.
and like being, traumatized, abused, and now you're coming out of that, and you're like, I have value. I want to speak my mind, and I'm going to make my opinion heard.
Yes.
And that's
is
just
true.
Yeah.
so it
I've
could just
always done
be
that.
it could just be you're swinging hard to the other side.
True. Is
Yeah.
it bad, Brayden?
No,
What's
it's
your
more
opinion?
of like a coming into your own. I think like in the workplace, I feel like you're a very strong leader, and in the relationship, it's more of like you want to make sure your values are understood, your goals are understood, and what you need in a relationship is like very clear. So you're like very blunt and honest about what you're wanting.
Yes.
But I feel like in a relationship, what you want, because you're so much of a leader in your life, that you're more looking for somebody to lead you in those goals that you've communicated, if that makes sense. Does that not make any sense?
Maybe maybe not lead them in the goals, but support them in the goal.
Yeah.
She's looking for somebody who is supportive of the things that she wants to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now going to Brayden to put the focus on you for a sec, with the
Mhm.
opposite being true for you, with you being more like of a passive person,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's more of a people pleaser, making sure that your partner's okay, making sure other people in the room are comfortable, sometimes maybe even at the expense of your own happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you've lost yourself in relationship in the past, or lost yourself in other people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think every relationship I've been in, I've gotten to, I mean, obviously they weren't good ones because I'm not with any of them anymore. But it seems like that's kind of a reoccurring thing in all relationships that I've been in, is just me being way too wrapped around their life and just kind of trying to carry them through it. And then, losing myself in the process, losing friends, like distancing myself from family, it becomes really unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with Abby, she's definitely she just calls me out on that stuff and is just really open and just like, okay, this is what's happening. This is what I see.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll just talk about it and get through it.
I'm putting myself in your shoes right now, and Taylor does that for me too. She's like really blunt. Like
Right.
one of my things is that I really want validation and reassurance a lot. And not that those things are bad, but sometimes it's about the same thing. Like,
just repetitive
like,
reassurance.
you don't have a crush on this guy, right? And she's like, no, of course not. I'm like, but he's super hot, you know, and like you talk to him all the time, or, you know, whatever. I'm just making up an example.
Right.
But then she'll be like, no, of course I don't have a crush on him. And then like a week later, I'm like, are you sure? She's like, God, like how many times am I going to have to reassure you that I don't have a crush on this guy? How does it feel when Abby says something to you or calls you out on something that's really blunt? Like she does it in a blunt way. Does she do it in like a loving way? Because you keep saying the word blunt. So does it ever like hurt your feelings, or how do you handle it?
It has before, yeah. But overall, that's the way I prefer it, because just like beating around the bush isn't really productive, and it's kind of like, okay, what's going on? But I think the only reason it's been hard sometimes is because it's like a truth that I've known but didn't, you know, it's just like something that I'm kind of aware of, but
like,
not really.
yeah,
and then I'm
I know
like, wow,
that.
other
I
people
know.
see that too. Like that hurts, but it hurts from me. So it's something I'm like really grateful for, is the blunt honesty. I've always just really appreciated that. It's so nice. Just
So you like
okay,
when
wow,
you like when
bam.
Canyon does that then? Like,
Oh,
dude, this behavior sucks. Like, what are you
for
doing?
sure.
What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. I just explained to him, I'm like, I see you, like, definitely, thank you, but also I want you to know this is my choice. And
Do you ever
I
get
am consciously
defensive
choosing this.
with Abby or with anybody that calls you out?
I have no, okay, disclaimer. I have not had to call him out for very many things at all. It's just like happened
Sorry,
once.
I know, it's like we're talking
It's like
about
happened
it like it happens
one
all the
time.
time.
So ironic
No,
that she
and
starts
it was a
to-
while ago. It was a while ago. We've worked past it. Braden has been amazing. Like our relationship has been so good.
It's been a lot of fun.
So good.
We
I
just have a
just
good
don't want
time.
the viewers to be like, oh my gosh, they're always
She's so
fighting.
intense.
She's blunt.
Yeah, pretty much we've only had like one, maybe two.
We didn't even fight. It was
different
just like a
little
conversation.
tussles, but it was it's just like a growth.
And they were very important
type
things
thing.
that needed to be talked about. It was like a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
So at least for me, it was a deal breaker.
Oh, yeah,
And so
for
I
sure.
had to be honest about it. Because I was like, hey, these are my standards. If you're not going to do that, I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah.
But we worked it out.
And it's so
and
nice,
it's great.
yeah.
And Braden stepped up, and it's an amazing man.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I love how my question to Braden was, do you ever find yourself defending yourself? And then Abby like, hold on, I need to defend myself.
Disclaimer.
to disclaim how good our relationship
Okay,
is. And,
I just felt like it was like seeming like we always fight because we literally are
well,
always happy.
I'm not like, I'm not trying to, I'm more just shining a spotlight on a personality trait of
subject.
Braden, not like your personality in general.
Right.
Like I'm talking about, and I'm also I'm asking him these questions because I feel like when Taylor calls me out on things, I sometimes get really defensive, and it's really hard for me to be like, oh, thanks for that criticism. I would love to work on myself right now. You know, like it's not,
kinda how
it's
it
sometimes
goes, though.
not
Usually I'm
comfortable.
like, thank you. Like, yeah, you're right. It's kind of how it goes most of the time. I mean, I have no problem in just admitting that I'm wrong or that I have room to grow or any of that stuff. If I feel like it's incorrect, then I'll be like, well, what about this? And I'll kind of bring it the other way
Yeah.
and just make sure it's a honest, judgment or assessment or whatever you want to call it. But
Sure. Braden, I've always wanted to do an episode with you about like a follow-up on your religious background and decisions. Like I've had a lot of episodes about religion and leaving the Mormon Church and stuff. And you and I had an episode about it,
right.
where we talked about why you left the church.
Mm-hmm.
And it got a lot of attention, feedback, and we don't have to I don't know if you're comfortable with it or whatever,
No,
but
yeah, it's fine. I don't mind talking about it.
I've just wondered what it was like being the first person to walk away from Mormonism in a family full of Mormons, like all of your friends, all of your family, all your entire world was Mormon. What was that like to be the first person in a close, tight-knit family dynamic to walk away from a religion that's like super family oriented?
Yeah, I was lonely. Felt a lot of judgment. I don't know, for a little bit it was kind of weird because I was kind of trying to do both. And so it was like I just felt so guilty all the time. Like there was nothing I could do that was right. Or I always felt like, I wasn't sharing that part of my life with anybody really either. It was kind of just something that
It's like
I
bit
was
by
just going
bit.
through. Yeah. just kind of trying to figure it out. And then when, I just made the decision to just like stop going to church, it just felt like nobody cared to really understand why. And it was more just like they just got upset that I wasn't going to church anymore. And they're like, how could you do this to our family? Like, we aren't going to be together forever now. And, all that stuff, kind of like making it about them. And I'm like,
So
oh,
interesting.
definitely. But this is also really hard for me. And it's a decision that's like pretty difficult. And something I've been trying to, deal with for a couple of years. And then I made the decision. And then it was kind of like a smack in the face, because it just added on to all the rest of everything that I was going through.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it just kind of took a step back from everything, because I was kind of young too, like, what, 20 or something? I can't remember exactly when.
Yeah. What was the catalyst? Like, what made you feel like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm not sure if I am happy in this.
So much of, a lot of the people
Toxicity,
at
it
church.
sounds like.
Yeah, and that's still kind of my issue with religion, is just the organized religion portion of it. I know there's a lot of truth to it, and it's been a lot of fun, kind of picking and choosing my truths that I, choose to stand by, and not having it be pushed on me or taught to me. It's just something that I seek out and learn. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a bunch of super tiny things that kind of, like, I had a lot of questions that couldn't really get answered. And if they did get answered, I was like, well, I don't know if I want to live my life believing that answer.
What types of questions?
Oh man, a lot of them had to do with just like church doctrine, really. Just like a lot of the
nitty gritty.
a lot of the nitty gritty, a lot of the symbolism. I'm kind of like, wait, what? Like, how? It's just a lot of questions that when they get answered, I'm like, that doesn't really feel right. Doesn't feel like that would be, something that God would want in His church. Or, there's like a million things, but
So
it's hard because I don't want to offend anybody.
it's just so interesting to me, because your personality, like we've established, is like, you want to do what other people expect. You want to make, and you, from a young age, that's what you do. You're starting to grow out of that, and you're becoming more assertive and,
Yeah, that's what I was
confident,
gonna
backbone,
say.
whatever.
Yeah.
But when you were young, you were very much like, I'm going to live up to expectations. I want to make sure that everybody is happy. To be the first person to
That's what I was going to say
to
too.
stick to your truth, and to be like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to walk away. And granted, you did it slowly for probably a multitude of reasons, but it's
Right.
just so interesting that you stood up for yourself.
In that sense, you were not a chameleon. You were like, oh, this
Right.
is how I feel.
You were the first one to step out of the...
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was hard, but yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think that's probably kind of where that started too. Me starting to kind of
Yeah, maybe,
realize
like,
that
you
those, I'm like, okay, it
felt
feels
hurt.
good to,
Just like make people happy, kind of.
feels good to make people happy. Is that what you said?
Well, make them happy with what they want you to do. No?
That doesn't make me happy.
Wait,
feels
what?
good. It feels good to be liked. You want
Yeah,
people to
that's
be...
what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Stoked on you.
Yes. Oh, that feels
I
great.
said
yes.
that weird.
When I left the church, I did it much differently than you.
Mm-hmm.
I was very open with my decisions
Yeah.
and
I
thought
kept it all
process.
bottled up for sure.
What's the process like leaving the church? Like, is it super like a dramatic break, or like what is that process like for you guys?
God, it feels dramatic
Really?
internally.
Because I didn't experience. I was born and raised like Christian, which is entirely different than Mormonism.
False. It's actually very similar.
But it's not.
In the beliefs,
like
it is,
in the
but
beliefs, maybe. Like, I disagree that they're a lot alike, at least from what I've heard. And being raised like within the church and like my family dynamic, with Christianity. I think like Mormonism is a lot more shame, and like there's a lot of different weird aspects to it that's kind of like culty,
Yeah.
and like it's super unhealthy. But I think for me, like being raised Christian, like there was a lot of really good values, and like the dynamics that
yeah.
were within weren't unhealthy.
I think that's what Braden said too. Like, there's a lot of things like he was picking and choosing, because there's a lot of really good things in Mormonism. In any religion, there's a lot of good things. Otherwise, nobody would join, because you have to appeal to goodness in people's hearts. Like, oh yeah, we're family oriented. We believe in being good to our peers. We believe in humanitarian aid. and service and, things like that. And they really draw a lot of people in by this concept of eternal families. Like after this life, we die, we go to heaven, and then you get to live with your family forever. Like that's a pretty strong
Yeah, see,
pull.
that's nothing near of what like it was for me,
Yeah.
Like Christianity is not about that at all. I mean, there's aspects of that, but it's about Jesus who died on the cross for you, and like he accepts everybody. It doesn't matter if you have to work your way there. Like he accepts you for who you are, where you're at. Like no matter how many times you failed.
Oh, just like as long as you accept him as your savior, you're saved and you're good.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't even necessarily think that's true. I mean, not true, but I think it's like a very broad thing.
There's
it's
a lot
not
of
like
branches.
You don't have to work your way up, at least. And I know you are not religious right now, right?
Mm-hmm. No. Correct.
Yeah, and that's your own path, And I think like you'll find yourself wherever you're at, and we're all working towards something.
Yeah.
In our own lives, in every aspect.
Yeah.
But I really think, I don't know, when it all comes down to it, I think it's good for like humans to have religion, whatever that may be for them. And like for me, when I have my own family one day, like I want to raise my kids, with the values and like obviously not Mormonism, because I think there's a lot of hurt there that I disagree with.
But yeah, what I was saying before is that like my way of doing it was very open. Like I talked about it. I was open with it. I even talked about it on the podcast. I had discussions with my family, my parents, my siblings, and I talked it through with people through the whole entire process. Mm-hmm. And it all happened really quickly. And Braden's was very like slow, like years and years of like baby steps here, baby steps there, information revealed in pieces over the, like, what was it, 7 years, 8 years?
I don't know. I mean, it kind of was like, probably started when I was, 16 or something like that, when I was kind of like, I don't know. But then it really hit hard after the mission stuff. That was kind of
the breaking point.
Yeah, because I was just, around nothing but church 24/7 for however long I was out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, this isn't really like great,
Mm-hmm.
And then with how I came home too, it was something that I, kind of wanted to get off my chest being a missionary, because you want to feel pure, you want to feel clean so you can do the Lord's work. It's kind of how I have it set up. And there was something that was kind of weighing on my chest, so I went and talked to my mission president about it, and I was like, yeah, this is just something I want to talk to you about, so you can help me work through it. And he was like, oh, we're going to have to send you home. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, I really feel like I can work through it here. And he was like, no, it's something you're going to have to go home for. And I'm like, dude, I already went home once. This is the worst.
Oh,
like, I know this whole process, and that'll be really hard to bounce back from. He's like, that's what the Lord wants.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I hate
gross.
that.
I hate that.
See, that is so terrible.
I know,
like shame and like guilt.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was just like a, mission president that maybe shouldn't have been a mission president, or if there was
just a man
some
with
kind
an
of block
opinion.
that just a man with an opinion, and I was trying to be honest and like tell him how I felt, and like I wanted to keep serving. And so when I got sent home from that, I kind of reassessed everything. And I remember having a conversation with Dad right when I got back, and I was just in tears. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. Like I was just freaking out, kind of just like shaky, and I'm like, this really doesn't feel right. Like I don't think it's for me. And then of course he, hearing that as, all of his kids at the time were Mormon, he was like also in tears and just like, wow, we'll get through it together. I'm like, well, thanks. And then when I decided to leave, it was kind of like a
big shock.
Just like a big shock to everybody. I think they kind of saw it coming because of how slow it was, but once it happened, it was just like a lot of things that people have apologized for, like you've apologized for.
Yeah, I passed a lot of judgment onto you.
Yeah, and I felt that from all the siblings, like even down to Dyson, when he was super young.
Yeah.
Like I came home with a tattoo one day, and he's like, what are you doing with the tattoo? Like we're not supposed to get those.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's actually the cool thing is you can get them if you'd like. Totally up to you. Nobody can really tell you what not to do. So, but definitely had a phase of like, being controlled or feel like I was being controlled for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of being like, okay, let me just like get tattoos. Let me start drinking. I smoked cigarettes for a little while and just like doing all these things that are just like, and I don't know, that's something that I really disliked about the church, is just how many restrictions they put on you. And I feel like that builds a really unhealthy relationship with all those things, because the second you get to try them, it's just like, holy cow, this is amazing. And then it gets, instead of it, being something that you're educated on and something that you are just told, like, this can be helpful. It can be, it's great for conversation, or like, if we were talking about alcohol, or for, like tattoos, it's a great way to express yourself, and an awesome therapy for me. That's kind of how I see it anyways. And so it's like, yeah, it's just up to you. It's up to the way you want to do things, and you shouldn't feel judged for, loving yourself the way you should.
Yeah.
But as long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're being a good person, helping the people around you, I don't see anything wrong with those decisions, as long as they're done responsibly.
Do you feel like, because of the way that you had to leave the church, the way you chose to leave the church, and you've been like, now you're just so against any kind of organization or person telling you what to do, that you're really open to just do whatever you want, like live how you want to?
Yeah,
like,
where
are you very like
with
life, like with partners, even with like ways to be treated? Or do you still have like structure and standards for the way that...
I mean, yeah, to all those. I mean, I have structures and standards and beliefs, and I have, I don't know, a very open mind about a lot of things. There's definitely some things where I'm like, okay, like that's not for me, closing that door. But when it comes to different perspectives and things, I think people should be, I don't know, like that's how I do want to be treated, is like, if, if I'm, I don't know, you should just be able to do what you want to do without any judgment. And I think life is just about finding what is okay to do for you.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is what I'm interested in. And so you go for it, and you try it out for a little bit, and then you're like, wow, nope, terrible idea. So you don't, and you move on. And then through that, you're able to find standards, and you're able to, find out what's actually important to your heart, and not just what's fun. And then you just keep chasing those things.
I feel like ever since I left, I've been rethinking how I feel about every single thing. Like the church gives you all these standards and this guidebook of how to live your life.
Right.
And then leaving the church, some people, well, I don't really know what some people do, but what I've done is every time one of those guidelines comes up, like drinking or smoking or anything, tattoos, I rethink about how I personally feel about that specific thing. And it's pretty overwhelming. And some people, I feel, I've felt the desire to like just try everything, and like there's no black and white anymore. And so it can be dangerous, like if you don't still have some structure and standards for yourself, it can be just like flying off the deep end. You're like, I'm just going to do whatever because now I have no guidebook, and I'm just this free thinker who's going to just do anything.
Which is always a dead end for people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How have you like stayed have you stayed in a lifestyle that's been healthy?
I mean, I don't think I have at all. I think when everything was going down, like I, made some friends who I probably shouldn't have, and started just like not really caring about a lot of things, and just being very like open with myself and my thoughts, and didn't really have standards. Like it was just I was being lonely and confused, and not really able to talk to the people that I love and the people that I'm close to about it, because I felt so judged. Just kind of had to really figure it out for myself. And then, just like what I was saying, kind of just learn, you figure it out. It's like, wow, that is fun, but maybe let's try something else. And then
but you've made it back out. Like you have, like your life now is pretty
some
good.
People don't too. It's just like, I mean, I stick close to the people who help me through those things. And it's been like on and off family. Yeah. And I have no problem if I'm having a weird time with a family member. I'm like, cool, I'm just going to distance myself from you until things settle down, and then I'll come back when I want to, because it's not really what I'm looking for right now, And I think that's what's so awesome about family, is you can always come back to them all the time. And I've done that so many times in life, and it's just so nice to just have family to
with our
count
family
on,
at least.
come back to with our family. Yeah.
Not everybody's as lucky.
We got really, really lucky with how much we've been through. We're all still very close, and I think it's really nice.
True.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I find myself like I feel like I'm in a free fall where I got rid of this foundation of belief, and I want to like, I don't know, my initial reaction was like, okay, what do I believe now? Like, do I believe in God? I'm gonna start from the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you believe in God?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. I'm just curious. Like, do you? Do you believe that there is a higher power?
I think so.
Like, how else,
Yeah, I mean, that's where, I don't know, like I asked you that question one time, Braden, when I was still very much in the church. I was like, do you believe in God? And you were like, I think if I had to put all of my chips in one basket, or if I had to go all in on that, like if I had to, I think I'd go all in on that there's a God. If there's only two options, I think I'd lean towards that. And I feel like that's how I am. But I don't know.
Have you ever felt like the power of God? Or like, have you ever felt like, wow, like I feel like, I don't know, have you ever felt like demons and like, the Holy Spirit? Do you think you've ever felt that before in your life? Do you think it was all a lie? Is my question.
No, I don't think that it was all a lie, but I don't know. The thing that's coming up for me, what's coming to my head is, we always used to pray. You have to, when you're a kid, you pray, and then you're going to feel a burning in your heart, or you're going to feel this warm feeling. You're going to hear a voice in your head, but it's like a still small voice. I've never felt that or heard that.
Really?
I've never, like they say, pray if the Book of Mormon is true, pray if the Bible is true, pray if the Word of God is true. I never had like a revelation or feeling that any of it was true. I never felt any kind of a whispering of the Holy Spirit or anything like that. But there's been times when I've felt like really strong feelings and emotions about stuff. There's things that I can't really explain. But I also feel those things sometimes when I do podcasts, or sometimes when I fall in love with somebody or have a really deep connection with another human being. It feels similar. And so I'm like, I'm
going to go pee. I'm very interested, but my bladder is calling.
Your bladder is calling.
So for me, it's like this isn't exclusive to like a religion. This is just a feeling of human existence, human experience.
So, okay, I'm just picking your brain.
Yeah, please do.
So you think that there could be a God. You haven't necessarily felt like the Holy Spirit or whatever. You think that there could be a God. And okay, so like, I think I'm tracking with where you're going. So.
I am just open. I would like for there to be a God.
Ready for whatever comes to you.
A higher power makes the most sense, even though it's like a fairy tale kinda.
I agree. I think that for me, like, I don't know, it's hard when you're raised in something. And I think when I was like 20, 21, like that's when I kind of realized I was like, I don't have to believe this stuff. Like, just because I was raised in it doesn't mean I have to, like, still do it. Which is why I stopped going to church, and like I was hurt by people, and girls are mean, people are judgmental to every, always.
Girls are mean.
They really are, though. Like, girl to girl, they can shoot you down.
Yeah.
And really, I was low-key, like, kind of bullied by some girls that were in the church. And, I don't know. I think it all comes down to, like, for me, like, I have felt, like, God, and, like, I've felt that power within myself. And so that's what makes me like, okay, like, yes, I believe in God because I've seen like these insane things happen.
Like what? Like, what does that mean? What does that feel like, the power of God in your life? Yeah.
I mean, so I had this crazy thing happen. So I went to this like music camp thing. And out of all the kids that went, I was like one of the only ones that signed up to do the songwriting thing. And during that time, I was having a really hard time because my older brother was just super addicted to drugs. He was like on the streets and just had
your mom told me about him.
Thrown his life away in all aspects. And that was like super hard for like my whole family to watch because we were like, he's such an amazing person. Like he's one of the sweetest guys.
Tight-knit family just like us. So I'm sure that it was hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like you care about your siblings, you know, it doesn't
Of course.
matter. Like, you care about your siblings or your flesh and blood. Like, if one
Yeah.
of your siblings is going something extremely hard and you're watching them in their darkest spot, but they just don't, like, want to save themselves, like, it's so hard. And so, long story short, I ended up being the only one that signed up for the songwriting thing, and I got to work with, like, a bunch of musicians writing this song. And they asked me, like, what would you want to write a song about? And I was like, I'd love to write a song for my older brother, like, just as a reminder of who he is and, like, who he used to be and who he is now. And that's when in that room with all these people, like, I felt the power of God, because I felt like he was writing this song for Aaron and for him to just be able to find himself again.
Yeah.
And I was able to sing that song, and in front of everybody, like, the whole congregation and everything, and, like, my whole family came, and it was so beautiful. And then fast forward months later, Aaron came home one night, and I was like, I wrote a song. And so I got to play that song for him, and he, like, was just bawling. And yeah, I think God is real, because I felt it in my heart.
That's cool. I
And
mean,
I think God can do anything. He can use people to save them.
I'm sure that God is like looking down on me like, Ammon, I've shown you my
like,
power
idiot.
like so many times.
It's like, come on.
And you're saying to yourself, like, I have never felt my presence. I'm like, I don't know, God, like, how am I supposed to know? Like, how do you differentiate between like coincidence,
True.
love, peace, and just like, and then God? How do you know? How are you supposed to know?
You never know.
Because
You
you,
really
have no
don't.
baseline.
I liked what Dallas said in the podcast you did with him and Maya. They were talking about it, and it kind of relates perfectly to what you guys are talking about too. It's like if you don't keep up on it, if you're not, if you don't constantly feel it, if you don't put yourself in an environment where you can, keep coming back to that feeling and holding on to it, then I think that's kind of how it should be. If you're kind of distancing yourself, then you start to kind of forget those things, and then if you get back into it, it all kind of comes back. And I don't know.
Maybe.
Does that make sense?
It does make
Okay.
sense, but
and I think that's what Dallas was saying too.
I just feel like in my experience, when I think back to then, because you can still like remember it.
Right.
I was in the church for 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever feeling that.
Uh-huh.
The closest thing to God that I would say in my personal life that I can think of right now is there's like coincidences that happen where I'm like after my divorce, I was super broke. I didn't have like much of anything going on in my life. I didn't have any job prospects besides raw, but I wasn't making enough money to support my life. Divorce can be expensive. I had to give away more than half of my bank account to my ex, and then there were bills coming, and somehow out of nowhere I just get like a wedding. Like I get hired for a wedding, or somehow I get this like $500 reward because I met the basic entry level requirements for like a credit card reward thing. Mm-hmm. Like things like that would just like happen to where like, oh, now I can make rent, or now that's crazy. If that didn't happen,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to buy this thing, or I wouldn't have been able to afford my life. Mm-hmm. And that's happened pretty consistently throughout my life, where things have just like worked out.
And I was
But
like,
things work out for everybody. People that are Mormon, not Mormon, when I was Mormon, when I wasn't Mormon. So
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
does God just not care whether I'm Mormon or not? Because it's still working, and that still happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because before, when we were Mormon, it was like, if you always pay your tithing, 10% of
God
your
will bless
income
you.
to the church, you'll always have enough. You'll be blessed. The windows of heaven will be opened.
yikes.
And I was like, oh, shit, like I got to pay my tithing. I can't miss it, or
weird.
or I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. Like the windows of heaven are going to be closed. But it's still working out. Like I have more money now than I've ever had. And maybe that's just because I'm older, but I'm also saving 10% of all my paychecks now. And I just put that into savings rather than giving it to an organization. Mm-hmm. But it's still working out. And those those examples that I just laid out, that still happens.
Right.
But that's like, I'm like, whoa, like God, did
Are
you?
you there?
Thanks for that. Like, thanks for those
Appreciate
bills.
it.
Like, that's crazy. This
Yeah.
pandemic, like that $1,400.
Thanks, Jesus.
Yeah, thanks, Jesus. I
Thanks,
don't know,
Jesus.
but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I really
just
think
so
for me, like,
individual.
I could have died so many times. And I think in my past relationship, there was so many times where I was at the point of, like, I really didn't know if I was going to make it out alive. And I really think that, like, it was the hope in God, Jesus, that got me through it. And if I didn't have hope in anything, I would just give up and I probably would have died. Like, I probably would have been like, all right, like, whatever. Like, this is worth nothing anyways. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
This is where it ends for me, you know? And that's what
Yeah.
got me through, was like, I'm on earth for a reason. Like, Jesus saved me from when I was born. Like, I was supposed to die at birth. Somehow made it out alive.
Jesus gave you 6 thumbs when you were born.
6 thumbs.
Or an extra thumb. Sorry,
One
6
extra
fingers.
thumb. One extra thumb. I had an extra thumb.
Yeah, and I don't think that
Hey.
a hope in Jesus is bad, or
Maybe
a faith in
6
God is
thumbs.
bad. Like, if it's helping you and it's saving your life and it gives you something
Well, I think it's
to
good for
look
humans to
forwards
have
to.
that, you know? Like, I feel like if humans don't have hope in something, whatever it is, it's just like they don't, you know? I think it's
but-
just good. It's like they'll put their hope in politics and, like, look where that's getting us. Bad. You know what I mean?
So do you think that everybody needs to
Bad.
Do you think that everybody needs to have a faith or hope in God?
No, not in God. I mean, in whatever that means for them. I think humans need something.
So the
If
faith
there's nothing-
and the hope in God is working for you because it gets you through hard things in life.
I mean, I wouldn't even say it gets me through hard things.
Well, you just
I'd
said it
say-
saved your life.
I mean, it did. Yes, when I was in a horrible situation where my ex-boyfriend was threatening to drive us off a cliff and kill us both, yes, I was like, I have a reason to live.
Yeah.
Because when you're at a point where you're so low and there's nothing, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Do you think, though, and this is just a thought, do you think that having a faith or a hope in God, like, God saved me from that thing, do you think that that's giving away some of your power?
No.
Because what if it was you that got you through that thing? What if it was
Well,
your
it was me.
your
I was getting myself through.
your will that got you through that thing? What if it wasn't? What if God had nothing to do with it? What if that was like
It's always a
something
possibility.
that was told to you for like a fact, just like fact? God doesn't exist. You got through all that shit on your own.
Yeah. I
Then
mean,
then what?
there's always a possibility. I mean, I guess we'll never know till we die and we're like, okay, cool. Like, it could have all been a lie. Don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been real. Nobody really knows. We'll find out one day, you know.
Yeah.
I know how I feel, and that's where I'm at.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I mean, if it's working,
know?
and this,
it saved my life. I didn't die that one night. The couple of many nights, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
praise Jesus.
many nights.
Many
Wow.
times. Many scary, scary scenarios. I talk about it very nonchalant, but yeah, it's bad. Brayden knows.
Yeah.
Braden knows.
Brayden knows.
Do you talk about your trauma often?
Not often.
That's true. Yes, I think we've talked about it as much as it needs to be talked about,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
she'll occasionally bring some things up when it's something she's thinking about or when she's going through it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like a always, and I think that's good.
Yeah,
Because
seriously.
That
It's
would
heavy
be
stuff.
that's heavy. Yeah.
Very heavy.
I talk about mine a lot. For me, I feel like it's, and I've said this so many times, I feel like it's cathartic. It helps me work through it.
Mhm.
One thing that I learned about myself recently is that, and this is kind of heavy, but I don't think that my opinion means much, if anything at all, to me. Like, my opinion holds almost no weight to myself.
How'd you come up with that?
I don't really know what made me like, oh my God, like when we think of it, but I was just reflecting on, why do I need so much validation? Why do I, when I'm struggling with something, developing an opinion, when I left the church, whatever, why do I feel the need to talk about it so much, so openly? And I think that it's because
Like the
my
validation.
opinion almost means almost nothing to myself. So I seek the opinion from others
Yeah.
in order to find meaning, I don't know, like to develop my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I seek reassurance, validation from Taylor, because, and it's starting to change, but I feel like it's just because, yeah, my opinion doesn't really mean much. And I don't really know why that is. I'm not sure where that comes from or why I have that, but that's something that I recently realized. So I'm trying to work on that. Be like,
Cool.
you know what? This is my opinion, and that's okay, and that's good enough.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Confident in your own opinion.
Yeah. I remember in my previous relationship when I was married, I remember thinking for years, I want to get out of this relationship, but I don't have a good enough reason.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, gosh.
Like,
Sounds
hey,
like a horrible scenario.
what about the fact that you want to get out of it? What the hell's
it's enough
that?
reason as
Is
it
that
is.
yeah, but just like my
Yeah.
opinion, it wasn't enough. So I needed either like something to happen or
I feel like
someone
that's really
to tell
common
me.
though in relationships, especially in marriage relationships. You know, because it's like you committed to that person,
Yeah.
and then you're like, shoot, why did I do that? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
And people
yeah.
wait for something to happen.
Years I thought that. Like when I was living in the Schultz house in Salt Lake, even
Mhm.
then I was thinking it.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was like year
Crazy.
3 of my
Out of 8,
year
right?
2 of
You're married
8.
8 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like I'm
so
not
sad.
like, I don't know. There's something off, and I don't know
Mhm.
if this is like the relationship for me. But I
Yeah.
just don't have a good enough reason to leave. Like she's a good person, and I'm like overall happy. I just got into that relationship so fast. Like I want to have sex so bad. So I got to just
Ooh.
get married, or else I'm gonna have premarital sex. I'm gonna get excommunicated.
Oh gosh.
That was actually something.
Excommunicated.
That was something that I was thinking about when you asked me what the process was like to leave.
Mhm.
There was a point when I started leaving the church. I was like stepping away. I was dating Taylor, and I was like, she was asking me like, okay, so what's like, how are you doing? Like, what's going on? What's the process like for you? What are you thinking about? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go into the church office, like the bishop's office, and go through the excommunication process. Like, I think I need to do that.
Oh, you have to do that?
Well, I mean,
I didn't know that was a
no,
thing.
you don't have to.
Oh.
But I was, my consciousness was weighing pretty heavily on me because I was like months into this new lifestyle, and I was doing
Yeah.
things that were like, worthy of excommunication. I was sleeping with my girlfriend, and I was, doing drugs, and
Yeah,
people
probably
have been
recall.
excommunicated for, less. And so I was like, you know what, I should go in and tell my leaders and go through the process of being excommunicated, because I think somewhere deep down I was gonna like, start over and like get back into the church, because I left. The reason why I left was because I feel like I got in deep to the church based off of other people,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like my own desire, my own intention. And it just kind of like happened. I was just like, yeah, I'm at this age, you just get baptized. I'm at this age, you just go through the temple. Now I'm just like, I'm post-mission life, you just get married and you just do it.
Yeesh.
And I was like, I never really thought about any of this, really. Like, I prayed about it, but I didn't really feel anything. It's not really what I want. And so my initial thought was like, okay, I'm going to start over. Like, I'm divorced. I'm living at home. I have no job. Rock bottom, in my opinion. My life was just a pile of regret in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm just going to start over. Like, get excommunicated and then try again.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't feel like I need to do that. I already know that I'm worthy of excommunication. Like, why do I need to actually go and do the process?
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't, and now I don't think I ever will. I may have never thought about it again.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
That's kind of
yeah,
wild.
I don't know. Did you ever think that?
I thought about doing it for a while. I'm just like, I mean, is that what it's called when you do it yourself, or just like withdrawing your records from the church? Is that more what it is? Or
Withdrawing
it's
your
like-
records is more of a personal choice, I guess. Well, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I still think about doing that just from the contact I get from people, and I get like added onto an email list, and they're like, hey, this Monday we're
Oh yeah.
we're gonna go have a fire and like talk about the Bible. I'm like, that's cool for you guys, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Please take me off the emailing list. And they're like, oh, I actually don't have the power to do that. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I've had that.
well, yes, you do. Like, just take me off. Like, it's
Mhm.
fine.
There's a, you can just move and then just not tell
Oh yeah.
the next.
There we go.
But then they'll
Yeah.
if they ever find out that you moved, they'll ask you your address, and they'll send your records to the new church, and then they'll like start fellowshipping you.
That sounds
crazy.
so
If you just don't tell them
crazy.
what your address is, they have nowhere to move your records. But then you're still on the old church's
Yeah.
email list, I guess. So
Yeah,
maybe there's no
exactly.
loopholes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Weird.
I don't know. That was just my personal choice. I just didn't want to go through like an official disciplinary thing, and then I just was like, you know what? I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to be a part of the process anymore. I just wanted to be out.
I feel like that wanting to get excommunicated kind of, I feel like that gives the church more power than it has to me. I'm like, I actually don't care if I'm in the system or not. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know how I feel about the church. I don't really need.
What do you mean the system? Just curious.
Well, I guess I'm more talking about just like in the records of the church, just like
They have
having your,
records?
well, yeah, like church records, like your baptismal date, and like if you went through the temple and just like all that stuff.
Yeah,
It's
like
all-
so we
Never
have
heard
this
of that.
thing when you're a baby,
Yeah.
like in Christianity, you know how you're baptized when you're like an infant?
That's not. No, that doesn't happen.
Well, in some versions of Christianity it is. What was your did you ever get baptized or whatever?
When I was like 13, yeah, when it was my own choice for
Yeah.
myself.
So in some religions they do it when you're an infant.
Like, no, that's false.
In Mormonism they do it when you're 8 years old, and then in some I guess branches of Christianity you do it when it's your choice.
Branches.
Yeah, like if you think of this umbrella of Christianity, which is just like you believe in Christ.
Okay, but I think only you think that. Like, I've never heard anybody, or like maybe because of your Mormon background, but like I've never heard anybody say that it's like a branch at all. I've heard like this is it, and this is something else, and this is
Well, not
another
all
thing.
Christians do exactly the same thing.
No, I know that.
And not all Christians are called the same thing. Like
no,
there's
yeah, but I've never heard like a branch thing. I guess is what I'm
okay,
saying.
well, terminology. what do you
Yeah,
call
so
it then?
the branch wasn't like a religious term he was using. It was just like
Oh, okay. I'm
kinda,
just so
kinda
confused
talking about
right
like,
now.
because like, yeah, if religion's an umbrella, like Mormonism would be like a branch, and then Christianity could be like another branch.
I
So
feel
if
like the
Mormonism,
two are
if
still
Christianity
not
was a
nearly
tree,
close.
there's branches off this tree of Christianity. Like there's a branch of Christianity called Mormonism. There's a branch of Christianity called born again Christians. Like you've heard of that, right? And then like Presbyterian,
Yeah.
Methodist,
Okay, I get what you're
Lutheran,
saying
like
now.
all these different branches of this tree of Christianity. So
That's why I hate the word Christianity.
right.
Yuck.
But what my original point was that, what was my original point? Oh yeah, so in Mormonism, when you are, I don't know, a couple weeks old, a couple months old, you get a baby blessing, like your dad and like some men in the church, they bless you. They give you a name and they like bless you. That day, your name that your dad gave you is written down and put onto the records of the Mormon Church.
Oh, wow.
And then it's just like, you get like through checkpoints. So
It's
when
like
you're
you're tracked.
when you're 8 years old, you get baptized. That checkbox is marked on your record in the church.
Whoa.
So then if you want to get excommunicated at some point, there's a box for that, and I don't know what they do, check it or what it is. I don't know. It's like in a system.
Naughty and the nice list.
It's in the computer somewhere, So my name is somewhere
That's
still
kinda
in the
weird. That's
Mormon
kinda scary.
Church records.
Does that ever freak you out just like a little bit? Like kind of be like weird.
It doesn't really freak me out. It's just like somewhere it doesn't hold any weight for me anymore
Yeah,
because
true.
I'm like, it's just an organization. My name is on like the records of the Chase Bank or Capital One. Like I get
True.
emails I get mail in the mailbox from Capital One. Like, you've been pre-qualified for this thing. I'm like, take my name off your records. It's the same thing to me. I feel the same way about the Mormon Church. I'm like, okay, like you send me these promotional emails, this letter in the mail sometimes, like, oh, come to our ward party on December 21st, whatever. I'm like, cool. It's just like junk mail to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested in signing up for that thing. I could go through the effort of unsubscribing, but I'm like, I don't want to give it any more of my energy. Some people do it because it's like a statement for them. It's, means something to them.
Mm-hmm.
But for me in my life at this point, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I view it. Anyway, sorry. I'm glad we got through that branches thing. I was like, what are you,
branches?
what's
are you
confusing
talking
about this?
I was lost. I thought you were saying that, like, I don't know. I was lost there for a second.
Yeah,
I was
it's all
very
good.
confused.
Anyway.
Just making sure I was tracking correctly.
So I was trying to think of other questions that have come up since that episode that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I was mostly just curious what it was like to be like the first person to leave a really strong family dynamic of Mormonism, what your experience was. So loneliness.
Loneliness. Guilt.
Why did you choose to do it so slow? Like to reveal pieces of your life so slowly?
I don't know. I guess, yeah, it's just hard letting go all at once of that whole thing. And it wasn't anything that I was like, oh my gosh, I hate the church, I want to leave. It was like, I just don't like a couple of things, so let me like try to go less often. So that's kind of how it started.
Oh.
And then just eventually stopped going. And then I was like, okay, it's time to tell the family like that I actually am deciding to leave.
I remember when you texted me like, hey, dude, I just want to let you know, I think I'm going to hold off on a mission. I was like, cool. Just like what, like taking a 6-month break or what?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, no, I think I'm not going to go at all. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, shit. Like,
Whoa, crazy.
Oh, shit.
yeah.
Oh,
Ain't no
shit.
holler back, girl. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was just, I don't know, it's kind of just how it went. Like, I kind of wanted to go slowly, and so I did, and then eventually I was like, all right, time to break it.
Are there still some aspects of your life that you don't say, or are you still going through the process of revealing information slowly, or?
About, like, the Mormon Church specifically?
Yeah, like, are there still aspects of your life that you hide?
No, not anymore. Well, you know, from certain people, yes. From the people it needs to be hidden from. Or the people who I don't care
Like
to know
what?
information. Like, I mean, I don't want you to know, like, no, I'm not going to use that example. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you just
Why do you use it? I don't care.
you keep certain things hidden from your life, and you keep other things open to the people who you want them open to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I'm an open book to this girl, for sure.
I'm an open book to this guy.
And to you, too.
I
You can
keep
ask me
looking at the
anything,
camera. I
yeah.
realize I keep being like,
Oh, hey.
hello, open book to this guy.
Well, I think we covered a lot of
Yes.
material.
Mhm.
I can't think of any other questions that I had with that topic of the church thing. I just wanted to take like a deeper dive, I guess, into
Yeah.
It's interesting hearing like both of you guys talk about it because I've only heard like tiny bits and pieces of Braden's life story, or not.
Do you have any more
story.
questions, Abby, for
No,
us, Mormonism?
it's
Or-
all interesting. It's a very new world for me because I don't know, I don't really know that much about Mormonism, but I know it's a lot different than what I was.
Can't hear you.
I know it was a lot different from how I was raised. So yeah, it's just interesting to me. I like learning about it. It's just weird. I definitely don't think I agree with any of the stuff, but you know.
What don't you agree with?
I don't like that it's all shame based and like works based. Because I don't know, I just feel like that's just not good for anybody.
Have you heard
know.
that? Have you heard the concept of faith without works is dead?
I don't know. That sounds familiar.
Meaning, if you have faith in God, like okay, I accept Jesus as my savior,
Oh yes.
but
No,
then
I
I'm
have
not
heard
going to
that.
follow his example at all. I'm going to kill
Yeah.
people and do all this crazy
Do
shit.
drugs.
Like some branches of Christianity believe that. Like if as long as you
That's bad.
in your
What?
heart, as long as you accept Christ as your savior in your heart, it doesn't matter anymore the way that you live your life. You're going to be given a spot or a seat in heaven, or you're going to be saved, I guess.
What
In
was your
Mormonism, there's this concept that the belief is that faith, if you have faith, it's not enough. You have to actually follow Christ's example, like be good to other people, do good
Yeah.
works, live your life the best way you can, be honest, and that's how you get into heaven, by earning
That's why
it.
Mormons are always so nice.
I mean, that
Because they're trying to earn their way to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Literally always so nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, not always, but...
I mean, a lot of the Mormons that I've ever met
Oh,
are always
definitely.
super sweet. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're so nice. What the heck?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they are good
Yeah.
people. They're
Mhm.
nice to be around.
Sweethearts.
Sometimes it's a little bit vanilla to be around them. You're like,
Vanilla.
Yeah.
Vanilla.
Kind of
What?
just sounds like the next person after a while. It's like, wow, you're nice, but a little like robotically nice.
Yes.
Some of them, it's just like, are you trained?
Are you okay?
It's like instead of military, it's just in, good behavior.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very true. Do you feel that,
Yeah.
Abby?
Feel what?
That
Sorry.
it's robotic, that it's just kind of...
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I don't. From what I've seen, I guess, which is not very much, but
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that way too sometimes. I'm like, I know what you're thinking. I know that you're just saying this because, you have these judgments.
It was really interesting being at that thing last night too, because I was like, whoa. It was like heavy in there. Did anybody else feel that? I don't know. It was just me.
Heavy in what way?
The building was heavy. It was like had a heavy like. Oh.
Oh, that's just the low ceilings.
That
That's just
too.
that's just the word of God
It was just
weighing
kind
down
of
on you.
scary in there to me.
Really?
It was a scary building.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It
Well,
smelled scary.
I showed her the chapel too,
and
but it was
the lights are all off. I was like,
dark and-
ah!
no, she's like,
Oh.
it's scary in here.
Really
I'm like, yeah,
scary.
no, churches
But
at
it
night are like the
smelled
worst.
It smelled so like
Stale
musty
and
gross and scary.
Oh well, that's just
The
because it's an
buildings
old
always
building.
smelled like that. Yeah.
Yikes!
Just
I don't know
carpets
if
that
I could
are-
survive back there.
Yeah. Well, that's just human nature. You have these standards, whether it's Mormonism or just standards of civilization, Western culture, whatever, just culture. You behave in a certain way because it's just what you are expected to do.
Yeah.
Like in friendships, sometimes you just say things, small talk. Oh my God, like, how's work? What's new in your life, And you just say certain things because it's just what you're expected to say,
Yeah.
what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you ever do that with friends? Like just say something, even though you don't really mean it?
Not necessarily. I don't know. I have like a pretty close group of friends, I'd say, and due to recent experiences, I have wanted to keep my group of friends even smaller. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm just like with each of my friends, it's different with each of them. Like my relationship with each of my friends are just different. Like Laurel and I have a different friendship than Kaya and I do. Like Ginger and I have a different friendship than Amanda and I. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you the same person with each of those friends, even though the relationship or friendship is different?
Yeah, well, usually.
Abby's Abby, for
I'm
sure.
just, I don't know. It's like take it or leave it. If you hate me, you hate me. But I am who I am.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, good for you.
I don't know.
Well, thanks, guys, for being so vulnerable. I feel like I asked you a lot of really intense personal questions, and
Yeah.
you
Of
answered
course.
all
Our
of them really
pleasure.
well. Yeah.
We'll have to do another one with just me and you someday.
Yeah.
Get this girl
Whoa,
out of
you
here.
want to do it? Wow,
Braden's
Braden
like,
hates
oh,
podcasts.
yeah, I think I actually remember
do like
liking this
this.
a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe a spicy topic or something.
It's just like,
Something interesting.
I don't know. It is unique because every once in a while the thought pops in your head like, oh, like who's going to hear that? Or is
True.
what I'm saying going to offend this person? Like you go through all the people that listen to the show.
For sure.
And you're like, oh, like I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but this is just how I feel. Because you have people
feel
in your
like-
mind that they're going to listen, but there's also people that you don't know that will listen and that will
Right.
find some kind of value. That's why I encourage people to be as honest and open as possible in this, because who the fuck cares if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings?
Yeah.
It's just how you feel. It's your actual life.
Yeah.
So talking about your actual life is going to be helpful to some people, and it's also going to be helpful to you. Like this will probably spark some conversation with the two of you, and maybe not. I don't know, but
Yeah.
you know what I
No,
mean.
it
It's
will.
just like
It's nice.
let's just share our lives, and
I feel like that's what's interesting about podcasting too, is because like for me, whenever I'm listening to a podcast, I feel like I'm in the conversation too. I just can't talk. You ever feel that?
You're just a mute.
I'm
oh
just
yeah,
like kind of in the conversation
Well,
too.
yeah, like
Or
when me
just,
and
like,
Braden were
a
having
fly
that-
on the wall, just like wow.
right. When me and
Yeah.
Braden were having that conversation, you were locked in. Like I
know,
know
I was
you
like-
pretty well, and you're typically like, I'm gonna go take a shower. I'm gonna go
I'm gonna go
be on my
take a
phone.
bath."
I'm gonna go run some errands or clean the house. All the
True.
time you do that.
Yep.
But right here, you're like,
I can't get up. I'm strapped in.
you have like
Strapped
a obligation to stay and to listen
Yeah.
because
I
you
love
want to
it.
have something of value or something to add or a
Yes.
question to ask.
I love that.
So anyway,
Mhm.
Yep.
podcasting. It's like the antidote to ADHD.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe that's why you love it so much. Mind blown. Maybe that's why I love it too.
Yeah,
It's
for
just
sure.
like
That's why I hate
counteracting our minds.
Bryn's like, my
Bryn's
brain
like,
is so
"Ugh, I'm already
anti-ADHD.
organized."
Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you doing this, even though you didn't
Of
want
course.
to.
Thank you for
thanks
doing
for the
it to
setup. It's
us.
cool to see all your stuff in here. You make our living room look really pretty.
And fancy.
Oh, good. We got
Well
Abby's new
lit.
cactus in the shot too.
Yes.
So everybody will be able
Jack.
to see
His
that.
name is Jack. Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jack.
Oh, clever.
Wow.
Clever.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Tuning out. It's funny.
Oh yeah, I gotta pee so bad.
Yeah, I bet you do.